What is up, everybody, and welcome to Theory Chat, the show where me, Where's Barry, and you, the ZOMBs in the Crimson Army, come together and look at the latest news and develop our newest theories throughout the show. Let me know in the comments if my audio is good with my mic versus the music, because I cannot test that. Sorry we started a little bit late today, but computers are computer things. So what's up, Bronx, King, NJ, Shay, Mr. Doodle, Torn, Normal, and everybody who's jumping into the chat right now. We're going to go over a bunch of cool stuff that's happening, that happened last week in our videos, but that's happening in the future at Gamescom coming up next week. What's up, IDK? How's it going? You guys running in the chat are what kind of controls this show, so we're going to look at some of your comments throughout. We're going to check in at the chat throughout the show as well. So right now, to start off the show, make sure you type in a bunch of emojis that show me how you're feeling, and we will check back on that in a minute. If you haven't had a chance yet, go check out the Twitter poll, and we will be checking back in on that throughout the show as well with our questions based on the different topics we're going to cover today. So yeah, welcome to Theory Chat. This is episode 4 of the Remake episodes, and we're going to do this weekly, and we're going to try to improve it every week. So give me your feedback at the end of the show if you like it, if you don't like it. And today what we're going to cover are 3 different game mode videos that we did, possibilities for bonus modes or unlockables in Resident Evil 2 Remake, along with some other ones that we didn't do videos on. I'll take some of your guys' ideas. We kind of talked about some of them last week. We'll talk about Gamescom, which is coming up next week, and we'll talk about the collector's editions and all the different collector's editions that exist. Make sure you are following on social media, and I will pull different quotes from different people on the different social media for every week on the show. And before we start, shout out to the ZOMB squad. If you guys want to support the channel, get access to the emojis. You see Mr. Doodle in the chat right now using those. Those are a lot of fun. You get a couple different perks. You get access to secret Discord. So if you can and you want to support, just look in the description for that. And shout out to all the ZOMBs. Here is the number that is going to make you all go crazy. And it's 158 days until Resident Evil 2 comes out on January 25th, 2019. We've got a whole end of summer. We've got football season all coming up throughout there. And then we've got holidays. We've got so much stuff in between now and then. And I'm looking at the chat right now. Everybody's commenting that I don't have a beard. Did I ever have a beard or long hair? I don't even know. So to get started, I want to talk about the collector's edition while we wait for people to show up. We got 50 watching right now. If you guys are enjoying it, give a thumbs up. We'll try to get to 100 before the end of the show. So the collector's edition was announced for now all 3 territories. Europe, North America, and Japan. And this is the North American version. This is the Japanese version down there at the bottom. And this is the new European version. And the one thing you're going to notice about the European version versus the North American version is that they have more stuff than us. They have... hold on. Let me figure this out. Alright, so going close up isn't going to work, so I screwed that one up. We'll fix that next week. Anyway, so what they've got here in the collector's edition that everybody's kind of getting excited about for Europe are these keys for the RPD. They look really cool in this picture here, but this is just a drawing. So we'll see how those turn out. But the thing is, not only do they get those keys, they get a steelbook. Everybody loves the steelbook cases. And they also get like some stupid pin. We don't care about that. But So everyone's asking why the European version, the American or North American version, Japanese version different. I have no idea, and I wish somebody would tell us. I've been looking up that information for like 2-3 years now since Resident Evil 7 Collector's Editions, and I have no idea. And last time it made more sense. So here were the 3 editions for Resident Evil 7. Japan had all this stuff, and Europe and the United States were closer to each other, but still everybody had different stuff. That made more sense than what they're doing now, where they're just giving Europe a couple things, and they're paying extra for it. They're paying an extra 85 American dollars for your United States dollars for their edition. Ours is 200 at GameStop. Theirs is 285 at Game. And the Japanese one, we kind of talked about it last week, is $900 if you get the huge one that comes with the typewriter. What do you guys think about this? And let's go check out the Twitter poll right now. Which item from Collector's Edition do you like best? Right now, Leon figure is leading at 50%. The RPD keys at 40%. I'm actually a little shocked at that. I feel like everyone really loved the keys. But yeah, Leon, everybody likes Leon too. The Steelbook is actually not as popular as I thought. I think we have around 100 votes, so there's a lot of people here. And if you guys vote on this and you say other, just leave a comment, and we'll look up on Twitter what you guys had to say about that. Eddie's WR says wishes for a Claire statue. And yeah, it was... Yeah, I don't know why they only did a Leon. I'm glad they didn't do a Leon here and a Claire over there, and then it's going to be a pain in the neck. So if we want if anyone outside of the UK wants the Collector's Edition, people couldn't order it. They don't ship it across. The same thing, like there's not international fluidity on shipping. So you can't get everything that you want. Torn Normal says so much darn money. Absolutely. It is a lot of money, cash, bleeps. So here's all the items, separated from the Collector's Edition. We've got a Leon statue. We've got an item box. The box that it comes in, we don't know if that's cardboard or, if it's nice material or what yet. There's an art book. There's an RPD poster. It looks like it's a pretty small poster that goes in your room. There's a Steelbook, keys. There's a soundtrack. On North American version, you get the digital soundtrack. In Europe, and Japan, you get a CD. And you get a little button there. Typewriter, 4 ink ribbons, and the ink ribbons are actually rolls of tape or stickers that you can put up. And the deluxe edition comes with all the other ones. So I decided, let's look at the cost of all this stuff and kind of get an idea. This is a little complicated math, but basically, the Resident Evil Collector's Edition costs $70. If you upgrade to the Collector's Edition, North America, you get your Leon statue, your item box, your poster, your art book, only those 4 items for $130 extra. So is the Leon statue and a book worth $130 to you? That's what's going to determine if you got the Collector's Edition. The European Edition adds $85 more on top of that, and that $85 covers the RPD key set, the steel box, the Claire pin, and the music CD. So if you liked all that stuff and you don't mind all that price, you would want to try to get the European Collector's Edition. But again, there's shipping and other fees involved with these costs that are not built in here. So in a perfect world where every item was available, this is how it would work. But there's going to be a surcharge for everything out of your country. And then if you really wanted to go hardcore and get every single thing for Resident Evil 2, you'd add $735 to that and get the Japanese Collector's Edition. You'd have a lot of doubles. You'd have 3 figures. It's just very complicated. But you'd really spend over $1,200 if you wanted all this. With fees, I'd say you'd spend $1,500. So if you're a collector, that's big money if you want to have everything. But that's kind of boring. So let's move on now that we've got 65 people, 25 thumbs ups. Let's talk about the actual game itself, Resident Evil 2. Last week we talked about how the Capcom staff talked to Famitsu Magazine, and they said that they were going to add something new to increase the replayability of Resident Evil 2 Remake, and they weren't talking about the Force Survivor mode, which is going to be in the game. So throughout the week, we decided to do a couple videos on the most popular theories that you guys kind of had. And the first one was that there would be an Ada bonus mode. Let's go check in on the Twitter poll. And I asked which game mode would you like to see the most, and 50% of you voted for the Ada campaign, and that would be definitely one of my top choices as well. In the past, we've seen Ada as a bonus campaign in separate ways, and that's what's in my head and probably in your guys' head when you're thinking about an Ada thing that's extra. And I mean, this was really good because it was kind of like it was almost its own game. It wasn't just like a side, like a, I don't know, like a bonus story. It was like its own little game within the game. So hopefully if they do add some kind of Ada mode, it's like a real game, even if it does kind of like maybe before Ada shows up, maybe after Ada leaves, maybe after she falls off the cliff or what, you know, not a cliff, but falls after she dies. Like we find out who caught her at the bottom of the thing, because I don't know how she's still alive, but she is. Resident Evil 6, actually, Ada's whole campaign was also an unlockable. It was a little, I think it was a little smaller than the other 3 games, but it was an unlockable that you had to beat the other people first. So this wouldn't be the first time if they add it that Ada would be new. And Assignment Ada was another one. I don't remember even that one because Separate Ways was the best, and they just need to stick if they're going to make an Ada thing just like that. Angel Snake 1 says, yes, we need another Separate Ways. Separate Ways in RE4 was an awesome addition. Michelle says, Ada campaign for sure. And Rogue Dragon said she had that bonus campaign in RE6. Yep. I was looking at some of the other stuff. We'll talk about that at the end, though, at some of the other modes that we've come across. So Ada, the Ada idea, in my opinion, is really cool. We don't know, are we going to play the game as Ada? You know, in Resident Evil 2 Original, part of the game, like 5 seconds of the game, not really part. We, like, took Ada, control of Ada and, like, picked up, like, a key or something and threw it. And then at the end, we played as her again and, like, walked through, like, a pipe. Ooh, that was a lot of control. So we'll see if they let us even play as Ada in the normal game, or if that would be something that would be a bonus at the end or a cutscene in the game. And then you have to think, could they do something where they let you play as a new character? In past games, mostly in mercenary mode, they let you play the mercenary game as a different character. So I don't think they would add new characters to the game at the end. But that is something that they could possibly do as well, especially if they've already got the character built into a bonus mode at the end of the game. Let's see what some of your comments were on YouTube this week. Remember to watch all the videos throughout the week. Comment on YouTube, and the best comments, or the most voted on comments, not necessarily the best, will get displayed on the show. But Giovanni said, you thought of Ada? I was thinking maybe a Marvin mode to see how the police station became zombie infested. And yeah, that's a great point by Giovanni. There's so many different characters that you could have a mode. Brian Irons could have a mode. Kendo could have a mode. The newspaper reporter could have a mode. Marvin could have his mode, you know, or different story modes like that. That would be really cool to have little mini stories from 5 different characters, 5 points of view. I don't think we'll get that, so that's why we kind of focused on Ada. I mean, we could do 100 videos on this, like every character possible. Even Hunk, even though Hunk's in Force Survivor, maybe another Hunk thing. Joe says, yes, that is what we need. Tristan says, I'm excited to see the new Ada. And Resident Evil developers are keeping her really on the hush-hush. They don't want to give away too much about how she looks or whatever. Our secret source may have told us back in the day that they had tried an Ada and it failed, and then they got a new person to be Ada. So we're thinking they really focused on Ada, not making a Chris Redfield mistake, if you think it's a mistake. And Solid says they shouldn't show Ada's face until final release to keep it a mystery like she's supposed to be. And like we were saying, that's what they're doing so far. Gamescom is coming up this week. We might see some new stuff. I don't think we're going to see Ada for a while, if at all, before the game. Did we see Zoe before Resident Evil 7? I don't know. Tor Normal says, I'm so for Solid Fisher's comment. Austin says, Ada makes the most sense. Chastity says, Ada campaign, Resident Evil 2 remake. Tor Normal also said the game's going to have a stupid amount of hours of gameplay. So, yeah, I mean, the more hours, the better. Shay said, I would rather have something else, but it wouldn't be bad to have an Ada campaign. Yeah, this is fun because this is the fun part about why I like to do YouTube and the channel. Because we don't know the answer. That means everybody's right, and everybody's opinion counts, and everybody's theory, even if it's the weirdest theory ever, like they're going to have a game where you're just some bizarre character like Kevin Ryman from Outbreak. Like, that counts. Everything counts. So that's a lot of fun. That's why I like doing the show as well and reading your comments. I've actually figured out how to read the comments better, if you haven't noticed this week. So every week we'll try to improve and get better. The other big thing that's been talked about ever since Resident Evil 2 was released or announced was Resident Evil 3 Remake. And it's really funny, and it's just hilarious that... So here's one day we're all like, Resident Evil 2 Remake! Woo! You know, we're chugging, you know, beverages. We're like going crazy. We're going on Twitter. We're starting our YouTube channels up after 7 months. So everybody's going nuts. Then the next day, you wake up hungover and you go, where's Resident Evil 3 Remake? And Capcom's like, what? We just announced Resident Evil 2. So everything Capcom does, it's like, where's Resident Evil 3 Remake? Where's Remake? Where's Remake? And I don't want to talk about it too much on the show here, but a lot of people think that Resident Evil 3 Remake should be its own thing and that it would sell just as well as Resident Evil 2 and stuff like that. And then the other half thinks that Resident Evil 3 is like a side game. I never really heard of it that way. And they said Resident Evil Code Veronica was the real Resident Evil 3. I really like Resident Evil 3. I feel like it fits in pretty well with Resident Evil 1 and 2, so I don't really see how that's the case. So the question arises, if it's not viable to sell, and we looked at the numbers last week, we're not going to go into the numbers and all the financials again, we're just going to go over it real quick, and more talk about if there was a bonus mode than if there was a remake. But if there wasn't going to be a remake at all, then a bonus mode is basically the best that we would be able to do. I can't imagine them just throwing the whole Resident Evil 3 in. That doesn't seem to make sense. But what if there was a mode in the game that where you're either play as Nemesis or Nemesis chases you, or, you know, something weird like that, or a Jill mission, something like that, where it's not full Resident Evil 3, but it's like a taste of Resident Evil 3, and maybe they can get an idea of, in the future, do we need to make Resident Evil 3? I don't know. What did the fans say about the Resident Evil 3 mode? Or, you know, there's so many different opinions and options for this, and the thing is, we're talking about it right now in 2018, and if they did a remake, when would it come out? In like 6 years. So, I mean, some of us will be 100 years old in 6 years, like me. But Rogue is talking about how Resident Evil 3 started out kind of like a side game. In a remake, they could add so much to it and make it its own game, and that would make it more sellable to the general public than just doing a straight-up Resident Evil 3 remake. Because if, like, go out and ask your friends who don't, like, I know you all have friends that play video games. They probably play FIFA, they play Madden, they play Fortnite. Ask those, don't ask your Resident Evil friends. Ask your Fortnite friends, have they heard of Resident Evil 2, and if they played it, and then ask if they've heard of Resident Evil 3, and tell them to name one character other than Jill and Nemesis in Resident Evil 3. And if they answer correctly, then maybe I'm wrong, and there's a huge, demand for a Resident Evil 3. But what do you guys think about if they had, like, what do you want to see from Resident Evil 3 in Resident Evil 2? Not talking about the full game, let's forget that for now. Do you want to see, like, traces of Nemesis? I know people are talking about there was a broken window in one game, and the next game it was fixed and stuff. What do you want to see about Nemesis or Jill in the new game? Because I would really love to at least maybe just, I don't know, look out a window and you see Jill and whoever, Nemesis running around, or you hear Nemesis, or you see, like, broken things, or Jill left you a note. Like, that would be so cool. Or at the end, something happens, like right at the end, like Chris Redfield coming down, something else happens like that. That would be awesome. And other people are saying, well, Resident Evil 3, Jill was asleep for 3 hours or 3 days. And I mean, we played Resident Evil 3 on this channel last night and we talked about it. And I don't believe any of the timeline or canons, like the timeline part. I believe the end storylines that came out of it, but I don't believe any of the. She wasn't asleep for 3 days. Marvin was dead. Like, there's so many mistakes that they made in that thing that some people claim are not mistakes, but they're definitely mistakes. So tying up that whole storyline, and so yes, you could see Jill if she was there before or after, or traces of her, I think. So that would be something I'd like to see. Let's see here. Let's go into the chat, see what you guys are talking about now. 98 Demon says, just as an Easter egg. Mr. Doodle said it would be a better plot understanding if they put Resident Evil 2 and 3 together. Bob Cobb says, I want to see Nemesis wearing a sweet fedora like Indiana Jones. Do you think all the bosses are going to wear weird hats? Angel said it would be neat to see references, maybe some of the cops talking about Nemesis. Caligula says, I like this idea. Caligula says, I want to see Jill and Nemesis recorded by the police station cameras. That is another good point. There are CCTV cameras all over the police station. If you zoom in on the computer in the demo, you can, or on the map, I mean, they actually shows you where the cameras are, which is kind of weird. But videotapes or something. There's another channel. I don't have the guy's name or his channel, unfortunately. I feel bad. I really wish I could help support his channel. But he did a video with John Ford, and they talked about videotapes in Resident Evil 2, the way they had them in Resident Evil 7. And while I don't think that is going to happen, I do think something could happen where you watch a tape and see something that's happened, just like the commenter just said. Shay said, I don't think Nemesis should appear. Part of what makes him great to some people is that he was only in one game. Now here, how about this? A shadow, like you don't have to see what he looks like, but maybe like a shadowy, you see the back of him, the back of his head, or the shadow or something at the end of the game. And one of the things I did in my video, which I thought would be so awesome if this really happened, was you beat the game Resident Evil 2, and you're walking off into the sunset or flying off in a helicopter into the sunset, because those are the only two options for Resident Evil. You're going to be on it. Basically, at the end of a Resident Evil game, you're going to be on a vehicle or on your feet, and you're going to be heading towards the sunset, because that's how every single Resident Evil game ends. But let's say you're going into the sunset and it says, to be continued, and you see Nemesis come out and go, stars, or something. That would be so awesome. And then that would like confirm Resident Evil 3, but they'll never do that. They'll wait till the sales and stuff like that. But I wish that they were also working on 3 while they were working on 2, because they're similar games, and we'll never get what we want, will we? Alright, go away. Go away, you! Alright. Here's some of your comments from YouTube. Kratos says, he said what I was just talking about, the end credits, unlocking Resident Evil 3 Remake, and well, he's saying it, unlocking it. Wow, that would be a crazy thing if the whole game was bonus mode. I don't think they would do that. I think they'd at least minimum sell it as a DLC. Chris says, no, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis deserves its own remake. I know a lot of you guys think that same way. I would love to see it remade. Stephanie says, RE3 is my love. I want to see Nemesis with awesome graphics. Yeah, I'm excited to see Nemesis, but if we did see him, but also we've got Resident Evil 2 bosses that we haven't even seen yet. We've seen like 1 second of Burke and 1 second of Mr. X. I'm excited to see those ones first. Heisenberg says there's no way they'll combine it because Capcom's being greedy. Again, don't want to talk about the financials, but they might have to combine it if they ever want to release it. And Mythic Mage says it should be included as DLC. And Code Veronica should be a follow-up DLC. Those would be big DLCs, and I really hate them to waste. I'd hate for them to waste them as DLCs, but I'd also like to play them at some point in my life. And then the next video that we did this week was about Resident Evil 2 Classic fixed cameras. And let's check in with the chat. You guys let me know what you think about the fixed camera mode. And right now we have 38 thumbs ups. If you guys are enjoying the show, give a thumbs up. And welcome to Isaac and Samuel and Sayor and IDK and Colonelwin and Raheem, who all joined the Crimson Army. Welcome to the Crimson Army. Come on, glitchy merchant.
Welcome.
There, unglitchy merchant. So let me tell you why fixed camera is not going to work. I know I did this video, and then at the end of it, my whole conclusion after reading all your comments, I read hundreds of comments on this. My conclusion, it's not going to work. And if you really want it to happen, I try to get your hands on Resident Evil 5, Lost Nightmares DLC. You don't have to get far in the game, because the first 5 seconds you can switch it to fixed camera mode with an Easter egg. Switch it to fixed camera mode. Try to aim the gun at the camera. Then move to the next screen. Try and aim the gun at the camera. It'll take you 15 seconds to aim where you want to aim in fixed camera mode in a 3D world. It would never work. It's impossible for it to work. It would be the worst game ever. You would rage quit in 5 minutes. The only way now that's if they just took the 3D world and made it fixed camera. If they started from scratch and made it fixed camera, that could possibly work. And the way they would have to do it is Resident Evil Remake style aiming, where you can only aim up, middle, or down. You can't aim in every direction because it's impossible to hit that spot, because one game you're angled this way, the next screen you're angled that way. It's not the same. It works when you're over your shoulder because it's always the same spot in the center. But every different angle, it really would not work unless they switched the aiming to up, down, left, right, and made you move like that, which is something possible, but I don't think they're going to do it. Somebody had a great comment about how to give us our fixed angle, our fixed camera, our fixed camera fix, they would add it to a bonus mode. We talked about bonus modes earlier with Ada or Hunk or all these people. What if that bonus game was a fixed camera game? And a lot of people think maybe For Survivor with Tofu and Hunk is actually going to be in fixed cameras. Personally, I don't like that game, so that's not going to help me out. I mean, I would have loved for them to start from scratch with fixed cameras, but I don't want them to just add it there to like they did in Resident Evil 5, because it wouldn't work great. Let's see here. Let's read some of your comments again. Gonzalo says it won't happen. Gonzalo says I don't see them doing all that effort for a bonus mode. Emily says fixed camera horror is never coming back. Well, fixed camera horror where you fight, maybe not, but Until Dawn had an awesome fixed camera. There was no fighting in that, but 98 Demon said it used to be a great effect for old school creating the environment. I think it's cool, but you know, I have 10 games I can play. Is it 8 or 10? Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil Code Veronica, Resident Evil Outbreak 1, Resident Evil Outbreak 2, Resident Evil Remake, Resident Evil 0. You've got 8 fixed camera games. 0 and Remake are in like kind of the next generation type of world, so they look really cool. So I kind of like that. I do hope that they eventually bring back a fixed camera game, and I think there will be demand for it at some point. It'll become like a retro thing, and then they'll be like, oh, we need to do it because everything's all cyclical and like trends and stuff. I don't know. But yeah, Emily, that's why I was saying you can't aim in those games. It's more of like a story game, but yeah. And let's go to, whoops, that's not the right button. Let's go to YouTube and see what you guys had to say on that. Oh, I was like, where's the YouTube? Christian said, fixed camera option, do it, just do it. You guys are doing a lot of comments where it's like, just do it. Is that supposed to be like, we do it? I'm confused. Are you guys just getting it wrong? Or am I missing something? Ultimate Being said it really should be an option to give classic fans something to enjoy. Fernandez says fixed. OTS and first person should be switchable in game by a button. Independent Virtual Farmer says, I don't care. This is the best comment, by the way. I don't care. I'm just hyped for the game. Agreed. Can I get some thumbs ups in the chat? Can I get some smiley faces in the chat? I don't care. Just hyped for the game. If you agree with that. And then Locian says, no, leave it over the shoulder. It's a new era. Move on, guys. People get really upset when you tell them to move on from stuff, but the other thing that comes from this page right here is the fixed first-person mode, and I think that is a more likely mode that could happen in the game because third person to first person, I guess it's happened in Grand Theft Auto, it happened in Fallout, and those are amazing games, so it could that's more likely of a thing to happen. They also really are, they keep bringing up that Resident Evil 7 is the flagship game for VR, and it's huge in VR. And for this new game, they didn't want to do any VR or anything. So we'll see if how well it sells and if some kind of VR thing, because that would fit in with the first-person mode. And I think there's a first-person mode in Code Veronica. Is that true? I feel like I played it for 5 seconds and it was absolutely terrible. But that's another thing. I still think games should be designed in the camera angle that they're shot at. I mean, Fallout, I always played in first person. I never played third person. Grand Theft Auto, you'll have to tell me how that worked, if any of you played Grand Theft Auto. Because just reading reviews, they said like it really changed the game and it was incredible like to add the first person view. And so I don't know, was that something where they really reframed it from the beginning or something they just added? That's kind of interesting. Captain Jabber says over the shoulder all the way. Gamer says I don't care about anything, super excited. We got a bunch of thumbs ups in the chat. I need to work on the chat because you can only read like 5 comments at a time. But on my screen, welcome everybody. On my screen, everybody is, I see thumbs ups all over the place. So yeah, that's, let's talk about some of the other modes we've seen in previous games, starting with Resident Evil 2. There was the Extreme Battle Mode. This was the mode where you went around the level, the map, and you tried to find 3 or 4 bombs in different rooms, and they would move each time you played it. And it was absolutely terrible, and it made me rage quit, and it gave me a headache when I played it like a month ago. So I hope they don't try to do the old Resident Evil 2 extra of Extreme Battle Mode. But what do you guys think about Extreme Battle Mode? Let me know that in the comments. For Survivor, that's already going to be in the new game. So that was the other unlockable in Resident Evil 2. There's other unlockables we're not going to talk about them this week, but like infinite ammo or new costumes, stuff like that. I think we're going to see some of that stuff as well. Resident Evil 7 was a good show of what we're going to see as extras, like where they gave us the saw, they gave us the x-ray glasses, they gave us the Wesker gun, they gave us infinite ammo, they gave us running shoes. And then I think Resident Evil 2 is going to add some costumes. We already have costumes coming with the Deluxe Edition. I think the original costumes are going to be in the like closet key when you find Brad. I think they're going to keep all that stuff in there. So I think there's going to be more costumes because now you're not in first person anymore. Now you're out of first person. So Resident Evil 4, we talked about that already, had the Ada stuff. Did it also have a mercenary mode? It had some other mode, I think. And then Resident Evil 5 had this Mercenaries United. They also had some other terrible mode, like Versus mode. That was bad. Resident Evil Revelations had Raid mode, I believe. So we've got that. And then here's the fun one that's never going to happen, but we've been talking about for a while. And that is people want to see a Battle Royale mode. There's been a lot of comments in there about Battle Royale mode. And I just think it's funny, but you'd have like Steve Burnside driving the airplane, the big cargo plane from Code Veronica, and then what? You jump out and you land in Raccoon City, or the other guy lands in the mansion, the other ones land in the forest. That is craziness. That would never happen unless they made a brand new like online game or something. But that's an interesting one that I thought I would bring here to really, really piss off everyone. The other part that we haven't talked about for a bonus mode is what do you guys think about online bonus mode, like where you can either co-op with someone in some way or fight against somebody? I'm not a big fan of co-op or partners or online stuff, but I know a lot of you guys really like these bonus games that I never play. I've never played Mercenaries or any of those, but I'm not you guys. You guys are bigger Resident Evil heads than I am, I think. So, Trend Warrior says, don't think we are getting any raid modes. I'm just getting to all the comments on the Fortnite. I think I skipped some of the old comments. Shay says, sign me up for Battle Royale. Demon says, single player is life. Closing Midnight says, Resident Evil Street Fighter mode. Oh my gosh, add a fighting game mode. Salvatore says, I would love a mercenary mode like 4. Maybe they could have the police station and the sewer as levels. Austin says, online co-op is fun. Resident Evil 5 with a friend. But what if you have no friends like me? By the way, don't try to friend me on PlayStation. I have friends on PlayStation. Kimosabi said if they did a local co-op, that would be not very futuristic. South Jersey says, old-timey, like single-player everything. My video game experience, I like turning off all the lights, putting a blanket on, hiding under my covers, locking the door, and not coming out of my room for a week and never showering. So, I mean, if you guys are like that, I don't know. Skyru says, I prefer the full content like RE5 than the less content in RE6. Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with this stuff. Rick the Gaijin says, I know everything. Yeah, I think he takes bribes, maybe. I don't know if Rick is taking bribes or not, or if that would be a fireable offense, probably. I'm not sure what that is, but... just so everybody knows, we don't do spoilers on this channel or leaks and stuff like that, so please don't put them in the chat. Caligula says maybe an online mode like The Last of Us. Interesting. I don't know what the online mode was in that. And by the way, welcome to everybody who's subscribed. Welcome to all the ZOMB squad. If you guys are in the ZOMB squad, let's show everybody the cool emojis that we have for those who support the channel as subscribers, or not subscribers, but sponsors. Ooh, and now we have a blank slide. What could go here? This is where your mode would be. A lot of people are saying they want an extra hard mode as well, but I feel like that's already going to be something that they add. New Game Plus, that's another good one Salvatore just brought up. New Game Plus is something I hate. I believe that's where you keep your weapons from the end of the previous game, and oh god, I hate that so much. That's unfair. Everyone should start with 0 weapons and stuff like that. Gonzalez says, I missed the hype screen. Hype, it comes up when we do live streams. And now the big part of the show. By the way, 47 thumbs ups. Can we get over 50 at least? If you guys are enjoying, click on the thumbs up. Yeah, so this week is Gamescom. It's kind of like E3, but it's the European one. There's 3 big shows, in my opinion, every year. It's E3 in the United States, and then it's Gamescom in Europe. This year it's in Germany. And then there's Tokyo Game Show in Tokyo, which comes up in September. So those are the 3 big ones. During Resident Evil 7's release, that's what I was like. That's where my channel came from. I followed every day. I knew everything that happened in that thing. Those were the 3 big conferences. And Gamescom, which is coming up, is one where they actually released a trailer for Resident Evil 7 2 years ago, whatever. So that this is something where it doesn't seem like they're going to release anything, but you got to be prepared. Here's the schedule right here. Right now, all of the people are flying in. We saw some of the developers tweeting they're flying in. Pete from Sewer Gators, I think he was flying in. I don't know if Rick is going. I don't know how far Germany is from Japan. It's pretty far. And some of the marketing people are on their way over there too. The one poor PR lady lost her luggage or something. But the conference technically starts on Tuesday with Media Day, and it's not open to the public. So Tuesday, you're going to get some articles on different websites. So be ready for some new Resident Evil stuff. Even if it's articles, if they don't release anything new, it might just be some articles that kind of repeat stuff. So hopefully they give us some new information, so these articles aren't just like, we played the demo and it was scary. Yeah, we've seen the demo for 2 months now. We know it was not that scary, but cool. So we don't need to know that. We need to know some new stuff. And in the past, Capcom has actually wanted buzz going into a conference, so they might maybe tonight, maybe while we're happening right now, it's already happened, or tomorrow, they might maybe release something or some news or some image or something. Although they did that with the collector's edition last week, which was weird early timing. So maybe that's freeing it up for this. But the 3 games that I'm looking at are Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, and Resident Evil 2 because they were announced at E3 and they're releasing in January. So I just kind of followed the Monster Hunter thing. They released a Monster Hunter gameplay trailer last year. The year before that, they released They released the Resident Evil 7 gameplay trailer. So gameplay trailer fits the puzzle for this week. So don't be surprised if we see a gameplay trailer. I don't know if it would be Claire. I don't know if it would be just more Leon in the RPD, which they've already released that, so that it can't be that, unless it was the second part of the demo. Oh, if it's the second part of the demo, I'll freak out. That's a waste. Michelle says, Claire gameplay? Yeah, I hope so. If you guys were fooled by the fake Reddit person who claimed that it was going to be at Comic-Con, and then they're just going to keep claiming it's going to be everywhere, so we don't know what's going to be up here. A lot of people are thinking that there might be a Claire demo to go along with the Leon demo and that they would debut it here. There's some rumor going around about that. Let's see what you guys have to say here. I guess just let me know. Trend Warrior says likely Claire demo at TGS, maybe. We'll talk about the Tokyo Game Show, and basically everything that doesn't show here, we're hoping it goes to Tokyo Game Show. But yeah, so there's let's check out our Twitter poll actually. What are you expecting to see at Gamescom? Claire trailer was 46%. Public demo release was 29%. That would be if they put Leon demo on the PlayStation thing. The reason I really want a 3-legged dog, really want it not to release the demo on PC, it's because they're going to data mine it and they're going to give away all the secret characters that are in it and all the storyline. If they release a demo on the PC, I'm going to flip out if it has the information in it again, which it probably would. And that would be super annoying. Sorry, PC people, but I think they should release it for console only. Somebody just said is Gamescom today. I'm pretty sure we just showed you the schedule. The schedule here. And the other thing you'll notice on the schedule here is that Thursday is a Resident Evil Twitch channel debut. So if you guys know Catastrophe Sniper Cat 6, she now works for Capcom. She's part of their marketing efforts now, and she has started their Twitch channel for Resident Evil, and they're going to do their first show Thursday. They're not mentioning anything about Resident Evil 2 Remake, and maybe it's just them playing an old Resident Evil game, because I don't think she's actually at Gamescom. But I would pay attention to this and at least check it out on Thursday and see what they're actually going to do on this live stream, and if they're going to release any extra information or other things of that nature. Thursday's a little late in the week to get something new, but maybe what they did in Resident Evil or at E3 was they had 3 groups of people play the demo at different Twitch streams. So Carcinogen and CVX Freak, they played the demo in the first part, and then they had the producers play it, the We Do It crew. They played it at the next part, and then the next part was some lady I'd never seen before. She was playing it. So maybe they'll have some kind of if there is a new demo, or if there's a new section of the demo, that would be possibly played on their Twitch channel. So check this out. But the other thing that somebody said is, it's hard to translate. I don't know if these translations are right, but basically the producer said in the demo, at TGS they're going to have the demo, and when you're there, look outside the RPD. Now, people have already been outside the RPD, so unless they don't understand that, a bunch of people have been outside of the RPD, I'd say hundreds of people probably checked the door and it was open, but everything was black there. Like, you couldn't see past the fence. So if they did add to the demo, maybe that would be something cool that they would show, where you just walk outside and you can see the buildings now, because maybe they built the map around the demo or whatever. Not exactly sure how that stuff works, but there's a bunch of people who follow Where's Barry B on Twitter that are going to go to Gamescom, so that'll be cool. Demon says his friends at Gamescom. Trend says, I hope the streets of Raccoon City can be expanded. Rick says adding a face capture to put your face on the characters in the game would be cool. That would be interesting, but I don't know that it works in Resident Evil where the characters are classic. Maybe it would work with Ethan, like an Ethan style character, but it's not really gonna work because the characters kind of make Resident Evil games. That was kind of off topic, but Travis says hoping we can walk down the stairs outside the front and through the park area. Yeah, if you guys can see the 3D model of the RPD, that would be far back on my tweets. I don't even think I would be able to find it. But they do have a 3D model from above, and you can see there's more outside section, and it's all fenced in. So I don't even think those stairs are going behind it anymore. Yep, so Claire is what a lot of people are thinking about, having some Claire gameplay at Gamescom, which is starting on Tuesday and ending on Saturday. So keep it posted here on this channel for all this stuff. If they do anything live, they decide to have any panels, which they're not scheduled to do any panels for Capcom. Only they're going to have Devil May Cry and Resident Evil 2 demo. And I'm hoping they don't just overdo it with Devil May Cry, but I think Devil May Cry might be their big Gamescom game. But hopefully they'll give us something, maybe screenshots, maybe new info, maybe a trailer, maybe just another look at Claire, something like that. That would be really cool. Because this week, I would be excited to get some new news. We haven't had some good news in a couple weeks now, except for little small pieces of information. And we'll get at least some small pieces. There's no way this week goes by and we get nothing. That's what I'm saying. And then the next conference you guys got to be ready for is Tokyo Game Show. That's coming up mid-September. That one, they're going to have a panel. We're going to do more live shows and stuff like that. This week, we'll only do a live show. It'll be just a pop-up live show, just like this, but not as cool with the different graphics and stuff. And we'll just chat about everything. So we got up to 61 likes here so far. And now let's just talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Any of the topics that we covered today. Rick is an inside source, and he's telling us that Umbrella Corps 2 is having a reveal trailer. And so, we might have a live show. We might actually fly to Germany for that. How much is a flight from DC to Germany? Because I might need to fly there to see the Umbrella Corps 2 trailer. Big Daddy says Devil May Cry is pretty awesome. I saw the trailer. I've never played the game before or really seen the game before. I know it's not my style of game. But on this channel, we root against other games and only root for Resident Evil stuff. HR says, I hope they release the demo so I can dismember some zombies. Now, if the demo... I've already done a bunch of videos on the demo and the puzzles. Basically, because I'm so excited about it, I had to figure out the puzzles, even though I couldn't play them. So I've already done a bunch, and if we get the demo, I'm going to just scour that thing, and we all would, for Easter eggs and secrets and everything. I loved the Resident Evil 7 demo. It was so awesome. This demo won't be like the Resident Evil 7 demo. There won't be really a lot of mystery or anything, but I also agree, GamerX, I would love to play the demo. Travis says Devil May Cry is a big money maker for them. Definitely. If they're on Devil May Cry 5, I'm sure there's been at least 5. There's probably been more than that, right? Joshua says he's tired of Leon. He needs some more Claire, and Claire needs her time to shine. Definitely agree. that we could use some more Claire. And be sure, guys, if you guys are popping out now for the Q&A section, to follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Where's Barry B, and yeah, stay tuned all week on social media. That's where you're going to get the news first. And if you've been following the channel for the last 2 months, you'll see that all the most of the stuff that gets tweeted and retweeted comes from our channel, and the other people are like 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours late on the news. So if you want to hear it first, follow us. And when I say us, I mean me, because I don't have 100 people. I have one person. Yeah. I guess I shouldn't have brought up Devil May Cry, because now the chat has gone off the rails with Devil May Cry talk. Trent said we might get the demo if it weren't for people data mining. So that's, yeah, I mean, they're always going to data mine it. So there's an easy solution, I think, and that's just don't let PC people have it. We did a whole rant yesterday about how PC people say that they have the best system just because they're mad that they can't play with their friends, because none of their friends have a PC. They all have PlayStations. But, you know, it's all in good fun. I bought all the Resident Evil games for PC. Now I have them all installed. No, I don't. I have them all bought. I've installed a couple of them. But I haven't had a chance to maximize the graphics and notice a difference yet. Yeah, and the way I see it, if you have a PC, all your friends have a PlayStation, so just go over their house and play it. Angel says the reason Claire's story is more obscure, I think you mean like not shown a lot, is because they have new content. I agree. Claire's going to be in a new level, and what they wanted to do in the first release at E3 was show you classic stuff, so you go like, oh, I remember Resident Evil 2, and then they're going to hit us with the new stuff, either this time or at the Tokyo Game Show. But Claire, I believe, is going to be in a different area, in a brand new area, so they don't want to give that away yet. They did show that one screenshot that I don't have on this thing here that we showed you last week, where Claire looks to be in a school or a hospital or something, and it's just a concept art piece, so it's not anything confirmed, but that is something that we talked about last week there. And 9:10, I believe, that brings us to close to an hour, so that is going to be the end of the show. Again, social media, Where's Barry B? Follow it everywhere. We're going to add some new stuff. We're going to do new video. We're going to try to do new videos and all sorts of content coming up here. So stay tuned. If you would like to support the channel, I would be very appreciative. If you want to join the ZOMB squad and get access to the emojis and stuff, if you're into the live streams and theory chat and stuff like that, you get a little umbrella logo, stuff like that. But any way you can contribute in terms of comments, likes, shares, all that stuff helps the channel. So I always appreciate every time anyone mentions this channel anywhere else. There's been a lot of streamers, Albert F. and Wesker, Pudge 007, they're both sponsors for this channel. That, you know, mention my channel. Bobo Chad, Joe After Work, Seek and Destroy, or Seek Donnelly now is his channel. They all will mention this channel as well, and it's awesome. The community of streamers together. I know I see a lot of you guys in like Wesker streams and Lord Rage's streams and all these other Resident Evil streams, because I go back and forth to the different ones. So it's definitely cool to see you guys around the community. And just please don't spread fake rumors on Reddit. I mean, that's basically it. Oh, 98 Demon with the $5 donation. Let's get some demons and some hearts in the chat for Demon as we close out the show. And we'll end it on this slide, 158 days. So thank you for watching. Thank you for keeping the chat rolling. Thank you for all your comments throughout the week. And I look forward to talking to you guys next Sunday on the next episode of Theory Chat. I will talk to you guys later. Catch you later, evil dudes, and bye, Amanda.
Go tell that Rudy. Go tell that Rudy. Go tell that Rudy. That our old gray goose is dead.
Welcome to the family, son. Come join the Crimson Army where the residents are evil now. We won't harm you. You'll get videos of theories and let's plays. Where's Barry? Have something to say. Here's Barry, he'll play all day. He's never really crunched for time. A Jill sandwich comes to mind, but that's just one of those lines you'll find in the comments. A heart of gold, keep an account. Number of deaths, a high amount. Will Barry live? Come find out. On the next stream, we'll figure it out. If the Zombs together, whether Jack is a dull boy or he wants to play, the Zombs are here to stay. Even if number 7 gets delayed or data mine, no spoilers will make a change. Cause in our mind, where's Barry's king? Don't forget to like and subscribe. And by Amanda, you're out of time, yeah. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And by Amanda, you're out of time. Like, oh my god, by Amanda, you're out of time.